Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dan McKee, and welcome to our hall, talking about small business issues. We're here every Tuesday. I'm on my porch at home. You can see the background. The leaves are changing. The weather's going to get colder, and we just got to make sure that we're doing everything we can for these small businesses as we leave the summer and the fall weather, entering into winter weather. So we're going to talk about that today, and we're very fortunate to have Secretary Stefan Pryor on. They keep on remaking the program in terms of trying to get that money out. I think we still got some close to $40 million to distribute to the small businesses in the state, and we're going to talk about that today. So two things I wanted to talk about before we enter into the show very quickly. One is on the education. We keep on mentioning this. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of lost learning time is happening. I happen to be an individual who believes that the local LEAs, the local school districts, the local school committees should be, controlling how they reopen. They know the best. I serve on a school committee as well in Blackstone Valley. And, we're getting stories from our school leaders every day about potential problems, whether there's infections or in the teachers or in the students. And it is just a tremendous job right now to manage this. So local school districts knows what's going on, and they got to kind of figure it out. But leaders in the state also have to figure out the fact that we're losing hundreds of hours of learning time in the virtual learning from March 2020 to March 2021. Hundreds and hundreds of hours are going to be lost, and we got to figure out how to make that up. So I'm still recommending that we really explore what I did in Cumberland, which is a municipal education department, 52 weeks out of the year, and really streamline that, customize a office in every community to start really addressing the hundreds of hours that we're learning in learning time right now. And like I've said many times, it doesn't matter whether you're coming from a high income, low income, moderate income family. It doesn't matter if you go into a private school, public school, charter school, homeschool, or if you're attending a private school out of state, but you live in Rhode Island. The students and the families right now are going to need to catch up, and we're going to have to be creative on how we do that. Municipal education departments in every community could do that, and I think that we could actually provide some of the funding through the federal dollars that are sitting on the table to kind of jumpstart that right now. We got to it quickly before the end of the year. Second of all, I really need to mention this, is that it's being reported in newspapers, and I don't know exactly where the information is coming from, but it's incorrect in terms of what our projected state deficit is. And why is that important? So bad data makes bad decisions. A lot of the reason that we're hearing that the governor is holding on to dollars in that COVID money is to potentially plug a hole in the budget, even though it's not an allowable use. But there is that thought that maybe they would allow it. But I read today in the Providence Journal an article where Tavern is really pushing back the municipal leaders about funding that should be going to the municipalities. This is the headline here. And to release the CARES Act money to these local communities. They need the money. I've been talking about this since May, both into our school districts and into our municipal, 39 cities and towns. This COVID money, CARES Act money, can go to help us municipalities and our local education departments just as much as it can go and help our small business. We need to really get to it. But my point is, in the article, it mentioned that we're facing a $900 million deficit in the current year. And we know that was reported last week by Senator De Palma, who's on the Finance Committee, that is significantly less than that. So bad data equals bad decisions. And if we're holding money on because we think it's a $900 million deficit, as was reported in the Journal today, I'm hearing 800 million. I'm hearing as low as 700 million. But we know the data that is there, the current available. Everybody needs to take notice on this. It's closer to $350 million, which is still something to manage, but it's not 800 or 900 million dollars. And let's release the money to the municipalities. We've got to the end of the year to expend those dollars, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars that are left to be allocated and spent. So make sure that we know the numbers. It's really important. Bad data equals bad decisions. The municipalities need the money. Our local school districts need the money, as well as small businesses. And that's primarily what we're here to talk about today. So please bring on Secretary Pryor. I don't know if Joe Rodeo's here. If Joe's on, bring him at the same time. But Secretary, welcome. And I just got off your call and a lot of good information that we want to share. And I think that you know that I'm going to keep on advocating for these small businesses and include many and increase the amount. And, and I really would like to get another $75 million in the mix, but the clock is ticking. So we got to get this $50 million out. Tell us how we're going to do that, Stefan. And thank you so much for all your leadership and trying to really get these dollars out to our small business community. And now nonprofits being included, which makes all the sense in the world to me. A lot of our chambers, business associations are doing the hard work that we're trying to help these small businesses. Giving them a little bit of help right now is very, very important to get the job done. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for having me on once again. It's been a pleasure to be on so many times to join you in helping to spread the word on the resources that are available to small businesses and now some additional categories, including nonprofits. Lieutenant Governor, I'm just so grateful for this forum. I want to thank all the small business people who have advocated over time, who've joined with us to make this program happen, and we're pleased to announce and give you information on the expansions we're doing. You know, when the Rhode Island Commerce team first proposed that we create a small business grant program out of the federal dollars back in the late spring, we said that what we'd like to do is start with a set of resources, a set of relief, and that we build from there. And the governor has led us, and Governor Raimondo from the podium has repeatedly said, let's prioritize categories of business and expand from there. And that's what we've been doing. I want to thank all those who've been advocating along the way to make this happen. So here we go, Lieutenant Governor. Let's talk about what we can do now and what we're doing. First of all, I want to note that the Lieutenant Governor is on the move. I love it.
I know it. Yeah, for some reason I was losing you, and I think I'm supposed to be closer to the internet connections or the whatever. So, anyways, I've just changed my spot.
No matter what the internet connection, we're always linked by our shared commitment to small business. We lost you there, sir, but assuming I'm audible, I think I'll you faded out a bit, sir. I'm assuming if someone can indicate.
Yeah. You're fine, Secretary. You go, and we'll get him back.
We need him, though.
Yes,
please.
We will get him back.
Okay. So first of all, I just wanted to note that Moody's, the rating agency, has once again rated Rhode Island second best in the country for its recovery back to normal economic recovery. And we're pleased with that, but we know so many small businesses continue to struggle and so many nonprofits continue to struggle despite their best efforts. This is not their fault. These conditions are miserable, but we are pleased that in the midst of the terrible pandemic and the bad economic consequences, Rhode Island is, according to Moody's, the second best in its rate of recovery. Here's what I want to get into with you today. We know that businesses are still hurting, especially small businesses. We've now given out $12 million in funds to over 1,500 businesses all across Rhode Island, nearly every city and town, and fully 17% of those dollars have gone to minority-owned businesses. We're very proud of that. That's been a lot of hard work by a lot of people, including the businesses themselves, who've had to stay afloat and apply and receive the grant and put it to good use. We're so grateful, but 1,500 businesses is a good number, but we want it to be even bigger, and we want these very businesses to get more of the dollars that will help them succeed in the midst of these incredibly difficult times. So we have in fact implemented a proposal to double the grant amounts to small businesses that are eligible for the Restore Rhode Island grant program. You're now eligible for up to $30,000, double the original maximum of $15,000, expanding as we'd hoped and expected to do more for small businesses. That means that if you received a grant of $5,000, you're now eligible for a maximum of $10,000 if you can show the expenses. And I'll explain that a bit more. And if you got $10,000 before, you're up to $20,000 for your eligibility if you can show the expenses in accordance with the federal rules. So we're very pleased that the cap has been raised for everyone along the way, up to a total maximum of $30,000 for small businesses. We've now also included child care centers and nonprofits. On the child care front, we've heard from a number of child care providers that in spite of the generous program that the state through another agency offered, some simply never were able to become eligible. Therefore, if you could not receive a grant from that other program, if you've not received federal grants for the purposes of sustaining your child care operation, you are now eligible for the Restore Rhode Island grant program, and we welcome your application. All of the changes I've just made for you are live and available right now. So go to the commerceri.com site, and we welcome your applications. Nonprofits, you are eligible for 2 programs that we've worked for weeks, even months, to set up for you. But let me talk about the one that is under the Restore Rhode Island grant program. If you are a 501c3 or 501c6 nonprofit organization, you are eligible to receive a grant to sustain your operations, to help you get through the crisis through the Restore Rhode Island grant program. As of now, as of today, you are eligible to apply with the same rules as small businesses, now applied to nonprofits. So check out commerceri.com and get started on your application. That's again to help you recover from operating losses, help to repay you for expenses associated with the COVID crisis. Just like all of the small businesses of Rhode Island, you are now eligible nonprofits. Now there's a second program for you too. We've partnered working over weeks with the Rhode Island Foundation. We have set up a separate program funded by Commerce using these federal funds to allow you, if you are in the service provision business as a nonprofit, serving the needy, serving those affected by COVID in the Rhode Island community, and you want to expand your services, you want to expand your offerings to do more at this time of very great need, you can apply to the Rhode Island Foundation. Go to the Rhode Island Foundation's website and apply with them. And you can get both nonprofits. You can get the one grant for your operations under the Restore RI process, and you can go to the Rhode Island Foundation and get that second grant if you wish to extend your services to COVID-impacted communities in Rhode Island. So we're pleased about both of those. Couple other points about nonprofits. Faith-based nonprofits are eligible solely with regard to any non-sectarian programs or services offered to the general public without regard to faith or affiliation. The funds cannot be used for lobbying or advocacy activities. You can't use these particular funds for lobbying. So those are the very limited restrictions. So please go, if you're a nonprofit, and check out the information on the commerceri.com website. If you're a child care center and you're hearing this message and you have not received another grant from a sister or brother state agency, or you have not received a federal grant covering your expenses or losses, you must be a licensed child care facility. And again, you must not be double dipping, that is to say, paying twice for the same expenses. So now back to one of the main topics that I know both the Lieutenant Governor and I are very interested in talking to you about, which is the doubling of the grants. We're really pleased to be able to offer yet more in the way of dollars to these very deserving small businesses of our state. We know that you are working incredibly hard to make it every day. You need a bridge to the next period of time. You need to receive another infusion. Frankly, Congress has not delivered another stimulus package. We were hoping it would be true. So we've lifted that number to double, as we'd hoped to be able to do. And here's what we can say about that. If you're one of the 1,500 plus businesses that has already received a grant, we have a very straightforward grant form that you can fill out. if you're wondering, do I have to go through that entire application process again if I already applied and got a grant? No, you do not. You do not have to apply again. We worked very hard, and I want to give enormous credit to the Commerce team for working for weeks and weeks to figure out a way that you didn't have to go back through the same process and you could meet all the federal requirements. We've retained your electronic records, and we have what we're calling a grant adjustment form that is reasonably simple. You do have to fill it out. You do have to fill out that form, but it's a streamlined form that you can find by accessing that form on the commerceri.com site. And then you email it into us, and then a commerce staff person and your processor will work together to get you the bigger amount. So we're trying to do most of the work on our end so that you can, as straightforwardly as possible, get the dollars that you deserve without too much of a hassle on your end. It does take filling out the form, but don't be intimidated. This is the most straightforward application we've had through the entire crisis and through the entire Restore Rhode Island grant eligibility period. You must list new expenses that will justify the new money. Now, let me explain that point. The feds, the federal program administrators in Washington, require that you demonstrate operating losses. You've done that for us already. You have now shown us that you had some losses month to month in your original application if you're part of these 1,500, if you're one of these 1,500 businesses that already got a grant. Now all we want you to do is, if your expenses exceed the grant that you've received from us, just show us and we'll give you all the way up to the maximum amount, the bigger grant that you are qualified for. Now, what do I mean by that? What can expenses be? There are fixed expenses, and I often recommend that you go to these first. Fixed expenses like rent. If you pay rent against a lease for your office or business space, and you only claimed 1 month to reach the amount for your original grant, give us all the months between the start of the crisis back in March and November. Give us all the way through November for your expenses. And did I mention November? I did intentionally. Even the going forward month that we're not yet in could count as an expense you know you're going to incur. So include that. And those are often the biggest dollar amounts that a business faces, the business biggest expenses that you encounter in the course of time. Start with those, and you have to enter less information and you're done. Now, if that doesn't add up to your maximum amount, now how about the PPE you had to purchase, the plexiglass you had to buy and put up? How about some other reconfiguration of your office space that you had to pay for? How about non-governmental utility payments, like your electric bill or your internet fee, your Wi-Fi fee? Add those in, all eligible as expenses to get your number up. So listen, I hope that's reasonably helpful, but always know that we have staff at Commerce and we have a dozen community partners who are ready to help you get through this process and are hand-holding businesses who deserve it, because you don't have time to decipher every single thing. So keep in mind, you can, on our Commerce RI site, there's a way to track us down and ask us questions, or just call 521-HELP and you'll get someone, or we'll get back to you. We've been getting rave reviews on many of our Commerce staff members on how they're going overtime, night and day, helping people out, and we want to keep doing that. But bottom line is, if you applied, you got a grant under Restore, you're eligible for a maximum of double that amount now. In other words, that same grant you got before again, and all you need to show is more expenses on a form that you email into us. You don't have to go through the entire application process again. We've worked very hard to make that possible. When you're done, you email it. This is on our website, so you don't have to memorize this, but you email it to Restore Adjustments. It's the Restore program, so it's Restore Adjustments at commerceri.com. please do put your business name and grant adjustment request in the subject line. Just helps us, especially putting your business name in there, the one you applied with. That way we can know immediately which electronic file to pull up, and we can move as fast as possible. So give it a try. I believe that most small businesses that have already been through the process will be pleased with the fact that they can get more money and do so relatively rapidly using this new form, this grant adjustment process. Now, if you want to go to if you're a nonprofit and you listen to me and you're going to apply for the first time for Restore and you want to know about that Rhode Island Foundation grant too, to expand the services or supports you're offering to Rhode Islanders, you can visit the rifoundation.org website, and then there's ways to click to get to this particular grant. It's called the Rhode Island Nonprofit Support Fund. It's through funding from Commerce to the Rhode Island Foundation, utilizing these federal funds that we've been talking about for months together, and that we're very pleased. The deadline for that particular nonprofit grant program is October 30th, Lieutenant Governor. So we should work together to get that information out, as you always do. October 30th, of course, is the deadline for that purpose. Now, I want to, if you have the time, Lieutenant Governor, I want to make one more announcement about a program. We've talked about it on this program of yours in weeks past. And so now I'm shifting from the Restore program and the Rhode Island Foundation program. This is a new program called Business Adaptation. If you've been a regular listener to this program, you've heard me talk about this idea several times, and we've talked about it for weeks and weeks now, that we know that there are businesses that really need to change direction, that have been blown out of the water and need to retool and come up with a new plan of doing business. They may need to create a new line of business while some of their other business lines may be healthy, or they may have to altogether reconfigure. We know that some businesses have been blown out of the water that way. So if you're that category of business needing adaptation to these new COVID conditions, we're now offering an additional grant of up to $50,000 through an application and competitive process for limited funds. It's $1.8 million that is available through Commerce. You can apply, again, getting information on the Commerce RI website, commerceri.com. And for all of these purposes, for the Restore RI grant, whether you want to double it or whether you want to apply for the first time because you're now hearing that the dollars might be even more worth your while, we encourage you to apply for the first time. Or if you're a nonprofit or a child care center, or you're in need of a real overhaul as a business and you've been waiting for the opportunity, you might not be operational right now, but you'd like to get up and running again. Because if you're not operational right now, you're not eligible for Restore unless you're ready to start. But you might say now with another 50K or 30K or 45K, I could do it. It's time to apply for business adaptation. That's now available to you. There are upcoming Zoom office hours, Lieutenant Governor. As you know, all the way through, we've been providing for individual assistance, and we have Zoom office hours where you can join a small group of businesses or be taken aside electronically, and we can help you out. We have Zoom office hours coming up on Thursday at 2 p.m., Friday at 1 p.m., Thursday at 2 p.m., and Friday at 1 p.m. And that information is also on the commerceri.com website. So with that, Lieutenant Governor, I'll conclude and turn it back to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan, and thanks for that overview. From what I heard, there's about $38 million still left available for the Restore Rhode Island grant. I think you mentioned we got 12 or 13 million out so far, 1,500 businesses. Hey, all of them go back in. They're going to qualify if they put their rent in. That means that you probably could get another 10, 15, 10, 12 million dollars out very quickly. So the idea is, but we do have some frameworks of timetables that we have to adhere to. December 30th, correct? I mean, in terms of the money needs to be in the business's hands. Otherwise, those dollars go back into a fund.
me say something about that. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you said that, Lieutenant Governor. We're really aiming to have everyone in who needs money by December 1st, with dollars going out by December 1st. We're really aiming for that because we don't want to leave anything to chance.
Right.
You know, lots of steps that the feds are requiring of the state, and we don't want to deprive any Rhode Island small business of the dollars they deserve. So what I really mean to say is the Lieutenant Governor is absolutely right that the whole big pot of money is deadlined at the end of December, but do not wait to apply for this Restore Rhode Island grant program. Please apply now or very soon, because we want to get you those dollars.
Yeah, and so and then we also want to make the play if we can kind of show that there's the demand, and I know there is, and hopefully the third time here is a charm, right? In terms of trying to figure out how to get this money out, we're going to be asking for more money, and hopefully the governor and your office will. We had originally asked for 125 million, which is consistent with other states of our size, and hopefully we're going to be able to add to that. But we are on a tricky timeline here.
Yeah, I want to say a couple things about this. First of all, when Commerce first proposed this program back in May, there really weren't many states doing this yet, and we want to make sure we got up and running. We're proud of the fact that we have, and that together we have aided 1,500 businesses. Let me note this, by the way. Our immediate neighboring states don't even have a program. They're not just trying to get more money out. They're not ever expanding, improving their program, making it easier. That's what we're doing.
Yep.
Connecticut, no program.
Yep.
Massachusetts, zero program. New York, no program, nothing. Now they're talking about it, and quite frankly, Lieutenant Governor and everyone listening on the phone, they've been calling us to ask us how to do it. What did you consider for this factor? How did you accomplish it in that way? We've got some lessons learned that we hope they benefit from. But we're very proud of the fact that in our immediate region, no one else is even offering grants to small businesses out of their CARES Act money yet. Not any one of those three states, and frankly, a number of others across the country. So we're proud of the fact that we're still ahead of the curve, but we do want to get more money out. We've been working night and day. I say we. The credit goes to this incredible Commerce team that first conceptualized this program back in May, then advocated jointly with the incredible small businesses of the state and elected officials of this state and others who care deeply about small businesses. And we've been working time and time again to expand this program. We're so grateful for the advocacy of everyone on this show, everyone within in the hearing of my voice, because you're making an enormous difference.
Yeah, and so it's not surprising to hear that other states are struggling in a way that we're not. We certainly have got the ball rolling in the right direction. I was down in Westerly. They've with Lori and the chamber down there. They closed off a Main Street on Sundays for all the businesses that come out on the Take It Outside strategy. So Sue and I went down with Tony Silver and Linda down there. We had dinner down there, and while we were touring one of the places, we ran into somebody who's now stationed at the Naval War College, and his girlfriend actually does consulting work around the country about coaching states how to use this federal dollars so they don't lose those dollars. And she just reemphasized what you just talked about. They're looking at some states that are, really in danger of not using all their allocation, and we don't want that to happen in Rhode Island. So that's the reason that we're out talking to the businesses. You are, everybody is. Let's get those applications in. Let's make sure if there's areas that we need to improve, like Stefan said, they're making those accommodations. We want to get more money into the mix because I believe it is available. As I was mentioning before, the deficits that are being reported are significantly less than what we originally estimated. So that's going to give a lot more flexibility to service these municipalities, school districts, and our small businesses. And I'm so glad that you're putting the nonprofits in. I was on the phone this morning with two nonprofits that are really in dire need of the same things with the rent issues, and they're servicing many people in their communities, with services that they're in dire need of, including, Stefan, small businesses that we're going to get back and refer back into your office so that we can
Please.
move these dollars out. So thank you so much for spending the time today, and
Definitely.
we'll kind of get an update every week of where we are, but we need to have that. We need to have that scale. Oh, we're up to 15 million, up to 20 million, up to 50. Let's really, and then we'll all toast. We'll break a bottle of champagne, Stefan, as we get that money out, and if we can get more money, that would be even better. Ben, you got questions for Stefan?
I have way too many. Go ahead.
Ken, before we start, do you mind?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
If there are business people on the line who are with hotels, or if you run an arts institution, or if you are looking for ways that we can increase consumer demand, we are continuing to evolve our programs. So if you are a hotel owner, operator, or manager, if you are associated with running an arts institution, especially the smaller ones, but I want to hear from all of you. We've been out having conversations for weeks, even months, about what more we can do. Now you're eligible right now. If you're a small business, 50 employees or fewer, and you're a hotel, if you're a nonprofit, including arts institutions, 50 employees or fewer, you're eligible right now. But if you need for us to do a deeper dive on the challenges you're facing, hotels and arts institutions, or if you're just trying to think about how can we get the consumer market going even more, we have some ideas that we've been working on, researching intensively. We've got new programs that we're hoping over time, whether it's now or with that eventual new round of stimulus that Congress continues to talk about. Some of these moves may have to wait until then, so we have more dollars for all of our needs as a state. We're working on that, so I'm asking hotel business people and arts institution operators and managers to reach out to us if you have ideas. And thank you so much for this forum once again to put those points out there. And now, Ben, I'm certainly willing to answer questions.
Okay, I believe that you have a 12:30. Is that?
I do. I'll tell you what. How about two questions?
Okay.
Because the Lieutenant Governor is right. We gotta make sure we always get the input.
If you want to schedule a time, we can find a time to do a full Q&A at some point if you want.
Let's do two of them right now.
Okay, perfect. So the first question that I have is why is payroll and healthcare not included in the grant calculator?
Federal rules help us describe exactly what expenses are associated. So if you have a specific question about your business expenses that you want to ask on the personnel front or the healthcare front, just reach out to a Commerce staff person. 521-HELP might be your best way. But generally speaking, what we have to show is that the expenses that we're paying for are COVID related, essentially new COVID related impacts and expenses. So if these are routine expenses that are not COVID related, then they're more challenging for us to take into account. That's generally the reason. But we've been able to interpret some expenses as COVID related, like rent and other fixed expenses. So that's the answer.
Awesome. And our second question is, are you aware that the grant adjustment request asks for the total amount of expenses, not just the addition? Example, I'm a small restaurant and I qualified for $10,500 in August, but today I had to show expenses for $21,000, even though the first time around I had already turned in the $10,500. Otherwise, it was showing on the calculator I'd only be eligible for $7,000.
I'm very aware, and I'm glad that you picked up on that. And here's exactly why. Many businesses may have done one of a couple things. They might have gotten on the phone with their processor to pick and choose among eligible expenses and come to a conclusion. There may have been a lot of dialogue around the conclusion we reached in order to get you your original grant, or you may have sent us a variety of expenses and it's hard to interpret, what ended up being the ones that got the job done. The bottom line is we need to show here's what we were using for the first grant and here's what we're using for the second grant in a single place to get the job done. And it's the easiest way. Quite frankly, we don't want to have countless conversations. We don't mind. We don't want you to have to endure countless conversations to explain what you did before and here's what you mean to do now. We want to put it all in one place, get the job done easily. So yes, it's exactly as you said. We need you to include all the previously claimed expenses. It's a few, hopefully it's just filling out a few fields in a document, pretty easy. And now add your new ones. Now, here's one tip for you. Can you just cut and paste from your original submission? If you have that, if you saved it, and you can just cut and paste the fields, definitely, please cut and paste from your original submission. That's perfect. Hopefully it's very quick for you. That's really the whole demonstration you need to do to get the new money.
Thanks, Stefan. And we're going to have you back. There's a lot of information here, and you're working hard. And again, kudos to your staff. I know how hard the whole crew is working. Just got to get this money out, and we'll all be better off for it. Thank you very much for being here today.
And for this opportunity, and thank you to all the small businesses out there. Appreciate it.
You got it. Yep. See ya. All right, Ben. I know that Liz Tanner had to jump off. I don't know whether Mark Haywood's in the back there or not, but if he is, bring him on. If not, let's go to Matt Weldon. And oh, there's Matt. Thank you, Matt. And I like you got the mask on, even though Liz had to jump off. That was a little long with commerce, but Stefan's got some valuable information. We got to get that cash out there. The more cash we get out there, the less work you have to do in your office because there'll be less unemployment. So
sounds good to me. Keep Secretary Pryor on. That works for me.
What's going on?
So we're still kind of status quo here at DLT. The programs continue to be operated. There are federal extensions available on claims when claims expire, and that's kind of what we're dealing with the most right now. And I want to actually differentiate between an expiring claim and an exhausted claim. And I know this sounds like inside baseball, but I think it's important. Claims last for 1 year from the week they're filed. So if somebody filed a claim in the beginning of the pandemic, it would be, let's say in March, then that would be good until next March. Now, you're not going to have enough benefits to last you an entire year. So what would happen is the most amount of state benefits we ever provide is 26 weeks. In the event that you qualified for all 26 weeks, that time would be up. That means that when you certify on a Sunday, either on the phone or on the internet, you'll get a message that says your payment was successful. However, you've exhausted your available credits or your benefits. And if you've only worked in Rhode Island and you live in Rhode Island, then you won't need to do anything except certify again next week. But if you live in Massachusetts or Connecticut, or if you've worked in one of those states, even a little bit, then you're going to have to call us at 415-6772 or refile online. Now, that is true for the first federal extension, which is a 13-week extension that is provided at 100% cost of the federal government. Where it gets more complicated is when we get after that 13 weeks, there is one more extension, which can be up to 20 weeks, depending on different factors. And I know your office is dealing with this because I got a question about it the other day. What do we tell people? What I would tell someone is if you already think you're on an extension and your claim is exhausting, or you get that notice, or even if you're not sure, go online and refile the claim. If you can't do that, call 415-6772. They're open 6 days a week to help out. Call late in the afternoon or call Saturday morning, which is a pretty light day for us, but they're open half a day on Saturday. Give us a call. We'll help get you situated. If you're qualified for an extension, we'll get you on one and you'll keep going right away. That's really the biggest issue we're dealing with right now, Governor. Everything else is going okay. Workshare is still pretty busy, but we're helping people out. Right now, the federal government is still covering the Workshare program, which is that partial return to work and work part-time and collect part-time. That's covered at 100% cost of the federal government until the end of the calendar year. And who knows what, if they come up with a new stimulus package, what will be included. Let's hope for the small businesses that participate in this forum that Workshares continue to be covered for another year. That would be a great opportunity for them and would really help us help them get through this pandemic.
Yeah, Matt, again, thank you for all the work you're doing. And, it's so important that you can call directly there. You can, email our office at ltgov20@gmail.com. Call our office at 222-2371. Share this program out to more and more people to see it so they know that Matt and his staff are ready, willing, and able to help. And you've been doing some enormous lifts here. So thank you so much. Ben, is there anything for Matt at the moment?
No, Matt. No questions that I see for you right now. Let me just quickly go back through them because all of them were for Secretary Pryor, I believe.
Yeah, he was the popular guy today, Matt. You know?
I'm used to playing second fiddle, third fiddle. It's okay.
Well,
So-
we appreciate you coming on, and it's so important what you're doing there. And like you say, the world is going to change in the for the DLT based on what happens in Washington. But right now, just keeping us above water and servicing all the accounts you have and all the calls you're taking. Tremendous work to you and your staff. So thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much.
See you next week. Thanks, Matt.
All right. Bye now.
Yep. Yes, so I think we can bring on our coalition, right? Whoever's with our coalition, we got a few minutes, and then I want to spend the last 15 minutes with our businesses. So, Laurie, thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you.
You're going solo today. That's good.
Yeah, I think that was a really good opening with the secretary. I mean, slow and steady progress, but I think the coalition still feels like time is of the essence. So I was thinking a little bit about this idea around our businesses pay our taxes, and the initial funding for small businesses by the governor came out at 100 million in 3 phases. And I was kind of looking back at what that was, and we're still dealing with the 50 million. So I think it's really important for all businesses to ask for readjustment. We talk to businesses every day, and most businesses say they need cash.
Yep.
And they need to keep going, and it's not just a grab. It's So I think it's just we gotta keep pushing, and that's what you're doing, and your leadership is super important on this. So thank you for that.
Yeah, Laurie, I think that we're going to have a follow-up. We had a coalition call on Monday. I think there's certainly some pent-up concern about the deadlines and how quickly the money gets out. And, hopefully we're going to accelerate that with what we're seeing today. But we're on a very short, string. We're
Right.
on a very, very short string. And you just heard the secretary saying that they are going to, take applications up to December 1st. And that's the reason is because it takes 30 days or so to qualify during the application process and actually get your hands on the money, which will go into your account. So for us to get more on the table, we got to encourage our small businesses to actually make applications real quick.
No matter what, right?
Yes. So that we might be able to lobby for another 10 million, 20 million, 30 million. We think there's room for 75 million. And time is running out to get the municipalities in play, but I'm kind of interested in seeing what Mayor Lombardi is working on, because he has talked publicly about the fact that he wants the municipalities to play a stronger role in getting this money out quicker. So we'll invite Charlie on next week and see where that is.
It's really important. I mean, we have continued to encourage the businesses. The reality is this is about people. This isn't about a business. It's about people that the business supports. And so when we say we can't take payroll or we can't take healthcare, I get the federal regulations around that, but I mean, most businesses support people, and getting the money out to at least keep the businesses operating at the level that they are is what the coalition will continue to push. But we continue to communicate around getting the applications in, getting the 50 million first and foremost into the state, and working for the people.
Yeah, and the flexibility, we need to keep on arguing that point, Laurie, because you can see from the first application to the third phase of the application, there's a childcare's in. Why wasn't childcare in? Nonprofits in like chambers and business associations, they can qualify for some funding. Why weren't they in? And so we got to kind of see what is still the gaps and really be pushing hard as a coalition. So I thank you and Chris and Justin for providing the leadership and the forum to bring the small businesses in. I know Ben just put up, let's join go to rismallbusiness.org, join our coalition, join what Laurie's doing in terms of, local purchasing and all the importance. And we're going to get to that. I mean, we're going to be at this for the next year or more trying to figure out what the next step is. But right now let's get that money out and help as many small businesses as possible.
No, and we're really asking everyone on top of that to really start thinking about what can you do. Even 10% of your spend should be with local businesses. Stop going on Amazon. Amazon will be fine. It's local businesses that we need to support. So,
I think that idea needs to start resonating, especially when a good amount of our purchasing happens between now and January 1st with the holidays, right? Like a good portion of our businesses need that business. So, Lori, thank you so much. I'm going to bring on 3 small businesses that we visited over the last. We're in every community. So if you want us to visit your community and visit your business, just like we just recently did in Woonsocket, bring David and Judy from the gym and David from Kay's restaurant. Hey, Judy, how are you? And Monica, I think Monica is with us as well, right? From the Tavern up in North Smithfield. So I'm not sure whether Dave's joined us, but we've been out to these businesses and talked to the businesses out there, and this is a forum where we can kind of tell our story, in terms of how what the impact has been with the COVID, how we're making out with the potential getting these grants and other resources that we need. And it gives an opportunity for everybody to kind of express themselves. We take that information back. The media is watching as well. So, Judy, introduce yourself. We've got the gym up there in Woonsocket, and we just visited there. And we know that gyms in particular have had, their challenges. And just describe the process that you're going through and how your membership is being supportive and how what we can do as a state and local community to even do more. Judy, you just have to unmute. There, almost got it. Yep, now you're good. Now you're good. There you go, Judy. Good to see you.
Yes, you too. Thanks again for doing this. This is very informative today too, Lieutenant Governor. I really appreciate it. We're definitely struggling. It's one of the industries that's probably been hit the hardest, the restaurants, maybe the hair salons, the gyms. Our numbers are way down. We are limited by the number of people that we can have in the gym at the time because of our size. So it's a very difficult, navigation sometimes, before we could have the gym bustling with people, classes going on, personal training all at the same time. And now it's a matter of spreading all of that out, open gym. We do a lot of outdoor classes right now, and we prefer to be outside. Sometimes it's just not feasible with the weather. So we're going to be facing some cold coming up. So we'll be spreading the members out within. And it's a challenge every day. And the grants definitely do help. And we're in the process of applying right now. So hopefully that'll be something that'll keep us going for a couple more months. We'll see.
Well, I know, Judy, you run some great programs, having worked with you all the years that I did. And, we got to make sure that we're doing the things and trying to find the flexibility, because you explained when you were there that, downsizing doesn't make sense because you got less in terms of space, you got less room to service. And so we got to find this flexibility piece really quick, especially with the weather coming on board. What are some, in terms of the capacity, in terms of what, feeling safe and that type of thing, which is always the priority, but also the economy of the business is also a really pressing issue. Could you have more people in your space, or in these gyms, so that the state could take a look at ways to kind of facilitate that?
Well, I'm not quite sure that we are limited by space, of course. So we are allowed about 18 people in the gym at one time. Of course, we can use more people outside. We can spread people out. Again, they need to be 14 feet apart. Our members don't want to have to wear masks while they work out. They certainly have masks as they're navigating through the gym. But if they're on a piece of equipment, we want to keep them 14 feet apart so they can work out without the mask. So we have actually spread out some of our equipment as well, and we're trying to put it in rooms. We used to have a group exercise room that was utilized. We're not using that right now, so we're spreading out equipment in there as well. Just getting ready for the cold weather so we can hopefully move some of these people inside and keep the membership that we have. And hopefully some people will come back as the weather gets colder as well.
Yeah, well, Lori's message, I don't know if you heard it, but Lori's great. And Lori Jatari, who actually has Cumberland roots, as you do. Lori has been volunteering on that small business coalition. And we've assembled almost 3,000 small businesses now. We're encouraging everybody to go to rismallbusiness.org and sign up. But her message was loud and clear. People who do register there or they do business locally, let's support our small businesses. You can buy memberships at Judy's place or pay in advance for services if you don't feel you're safe right now. There's all ways that we can support our small businesses, and I know that our small businesses have built up a lot of goodwill, Judy, and you have as well.
Thank
so
you.
We're just kind of like saying, hey, this is the time to support in. If you can advance, services, let's do it. If you can buy gift certificates, let's do it. And that's going to allow our businesses to have the cash flow that they need. And then, Judy, we want you to make sure that you're, applying for those grants that Stefan Pryor was just there talking about. Rent is an includable, expense. So that should get you up to the $30,000 level when you go back 5 or 6 months on all the expenses, and that would be a really good thing if you were able to get that $30,000 in the next few weeks.
That would be great. Thank you.
That's what we're working on, Judy, and
I would love that.
And if you need help, you already got contact with our office, but if you need help, we can help walk you through it as well. And
Great.
But we want to encourage, especially as you mentioned, and having been in the health business for years, I know how much they're impacted, and that's one of the reasons why I'm taking this issue so personal, because we know what it takes to be in a small business. We know the work, we know the blood, sweat, and tears that goes in, but we also know the service and the importance that you have in the community. So let's try to get that out, and then spread the word to your friends that are in business that this grant strategy is really an important one to get this money out. It's a substantial amount of money. There's no one that's going to get shut off right now if they apply, and then we want to be able to go back in and ask for more before the deadlines hit at the end of December.
Okay. Thank you
Thanks
so much, Lieutenant Governor. Appreciate it.
Right back at you, Judy. Monica, stick with us, Judy. Monica, please introduce yourself and kind of give your little overview of the challenges that you're going through and
good time.
And, it's pretty much just kind of give the same introduction that Judy just gave, but on your business and location and what's going on and how we can be helpful.
So I'm Monica, Tavern 621. It's in North Smithfield. The difficulties that I'm having is I'm in a very industrial type of area. So I'm in the parking lot with Wide World of Indoor Sports. And since sports have pretty much been shut down and they haven't been able to have, their normal tournaments and everything, I got most of my business from them. So I'm actually down 83% when I filled out the first application, which is a whole nother story of difficulties on that. But I was able to navigate through. I ended up qualifying for $10,500. It took about 25 days to come into the account. Now, my question is, this is for business expenses, but they're still using employees. So even though I'm down 83%, I didn't qualify for the maximum because I only had 8 employees versus, another business might only have been down 31%, but they qualify for 15,000 when they actually don't need it as much as somebody in my position that's down 83%.
Yeah, Monica, and we echo that with Commerce all the time, that they gotta, they can't have the only metric be the number of employees, and we have a number of businesses that because they're down, they don't even reflect that true amount of employees that they actually have.
Right.
So, today you heard Stefan saying you can use a January number, which is going to help a number of businesses that have had to be, laying off or having part-time workers go from full-time to part-time. So, what you're saying there is something which I was mentioning to Lori and to the coalition call that we have on Mondays. We need to keep echoing these things because this application progress is a work in progress. It's still a work in progress. It still hasn't satisfied many of the issues that small businesses actually are dealing with. So your point is well taken. You're not the only one who's saying it, and we are planning to create a public event very shortly with our small businesses to address the gaps that still exist. Because we need to be very front and center on it. So, Monica, we'll let you know about that, but thanks for sharing that.
I wasn't even able to get the PPP as well.
Yes.
So This has been like the only thing I've been counting on. And I did do the new application today. It wasn't available all week last week after the announcement. So Thursday,
Right.
Friday wasn't available. Wasn't available yesterday. So it's finally available today. They say within 7 days we should hear from somebody. I was the one that commented on you have to put twice the expenses on today's
Okay,
application.
yeah.
But it was easy enough. That application was simple enough. But I was closed for 3 months. To-goes weren't working when all the businesses around here were shut down. So I'm still playing catch up on all those months' rent. And the 10,000 covers 2 months for me.
Yeah, and it's for people who are rent intensive, but they provide they're a small business. This is the argument that we need to make, is that we need to say, look, if you can calculate your expenses in a different way besides just payroll, your business is just as important as any other business out there.
Right.
So we should be trying to figure out how to maximize the availability. And then we sent a letter to the governor last week, just for your information, where we actually asked them to increase the money from 15,000 to 50,000, have the minimum be 5,000, and then double up, on anybody who's already received it, in an automatic. And it sounds as though they've, addressed that to a degree where it's not overcomplicated, which is good to hear. But
Right.
we need to position your business and many thousands of other businesses that are saying the same thing you are, so that they can maximize out the
Right.
the based on their overhead, based on what their actual cost is. And
Or maybe some businesses like that weren't able to take advantage of like the PPP or anything that helped with that. Maybe
yes.
if you never received any of that, maybe a little something for people like us that, maybe a little side PPP now for businesses that never were able to utilize funds like that. I don't know.
Well, I think it's really important, and we're going to every community now, like we were in Woonsocket, last week. We're going to be in Pawtucket, Cumberland, and I think South Kingstown the rest of the week, talking to all the small businesses and trying to bring them together in a way that their voice gets real strong. So your point by adding that in is a really important one that others should echo and resonate. And we intend to do that. And we're preparing another letter right now, because it's a short time frame. I think we're going to do weekly letters, to make sure that we're hitting those very definitive time frames, Monica. So your information is very important. Thank you for sharing. How do we? But you're open for business, so we want to encourage people that are in or driving distance of your place to go and have a drink or go and have a dinner. Tell us a little bit quick about what your business offers, so that we can kind of spread the word for you.
I got 16 craft beers and great food, all fresh stuff. So no bar seating because I couldn't afford to put all the plexiglass in, but we have the dining room and we have some patio space available while the weather's still okay.
There you go. Well, get out there and support Monica and Judy and all our small businesses out there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
Thank you,
much.
Judy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to hear much more than what you just heard there from Monica and Judy, right? And the notion that you have to have so many employees in order to qualify when you got the overhead. The businesses that we do in our small businesses impact many people, and it's good to have a staff and employees, but a lot of the work that happens is hundreds of people go to Judy's fitness center. That means hundreds of people need her to be in business so that they can be in have the fitness that they enjoy. Hundreds of customers go to Monica's business and all around the state of Rhode Island. So we need to really revisit that issue. That's not the first time we've heard it. We've heard it several times. Overhead should matter as much as payroll. And I know that we want to protect employees, but we also want to protect these small businesses. So anyways, I want to thank everybody for joining in today. Thank the Secretary for the valuable information. We're going to continue to work on these small business issues. I talked about the education piece. Let's talk about municipal education departments. Pick up the lost hours in creative ways. We can't put that burden on the school departments. They got enough to deal with what they're dealing with right now. let the local education school committees, determine how they reopen with state assistance. And then finally, let's talk about this deficit. If it's not 900 million or 800 million, or we're throwing big numbers out, it's significantly less. It's in the $350 million area right now. Might be even less based on September's revenues that have just been reported. Bad data equals bad decisions, and holding on to monies against a deadline like we are, and not distributing it to the municipalities, our school departments, our local small businesses, nonprofits, as we talked about, is going to start to be included. That's going to be a failing, and we need to make sure that we do everything we can to keep us safe. Wash your hands, wear your masks, please. Keep the social distancing, but let's support our small businesses, and let's make sure that all the resources that are available get to our local communities. It's really important that we have fiscal stability in our local municipalities. So there's many ways to do it, but let's be accurate with where the deficit is. It's not 900 million as we reported in the Journal today. It's a caution, a flag to all the reporters out there. Let's get the accurate information because it's not doing us a service to provide a high number just to kind of create a little bit of alarm. We got enough on our plate right now. Trust me, we don't have to make up anything to create that urgency that's in all our lives right now. So anyways, let's stay safe. Join us on our community conversation tomorrow night at 7:00. And I want to thank everybody who's been with us today. Share it out. Call our office, 222-2371. And we're really there to help you. Our staff is ready, willing, and able to do everything we can to help you through this health crisis and this economic crisis. Stay safe, everybody.